All right guys, welcome back. Today we're gonna talk about voltage issue that you see on your dash when it's no longer at 14 or 12 volts. So the question is, what is causing this problem? There's a few things that you guys can do as an owner operator to find out what's the cause of the problem before you take it to the shop. First stop we're gonna stop is at the batteries. We're gonna look at the batteries. One, especially if you know a little bit more about it or if there's a sticker indicating what year that battery is. So when we look at the batteries, we wanna look for corrosion, swelling, or something that smells. Any of those usually kind of issues that you have, especially if there's corrosion, you probably want to clean the post, which we've done a video not long ago or maybe a while back about how to clean the battery terminals. So I do have a video on that if you want to find that. If you don't, and there's no corrosion on it, but it's swollen and it has a smell, those are good signs of indication that the battery needs to be replaced. The second step, we're gonna go check the alternator. All right, we're gonna check the connections as well as check the belt and then see if there's any issues there. And then make sure that the belt is connected and when the truck is running, we don't hear any oddball noises. And then the last thing if you do, if you're brave enough and you want to give it a try and you have a multimeter, you would put your red on the positive and black on the negative and see what voltage is coming out of the alternator. If the alternator is not putting out as much as it's supposed to, alternator would be the cause of the problem. So let's start with the first step. So let's follow me to the batteries. All right guys, as you can see, I'm right here on this Freightliner Cascadia, the easiest truck I don't have to take anything apart. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the pin out of this one and I take the cover off. On this particular one, there's actually a mat. Don't get discouraged and think that the batteries are super dirty. There's actually a mat on it, all right? You wanna check for corrosion. Anything that shows like green or white substance on it, then you need to clean the cables, all right? First thing you need to do is also check the cables. Any of them that are loose, you wanna tighten up. Majority of the nuts on top of them, just so you guys know, it's gonna be a 9/16, all right? Maybe a quarter turn and then you're done, that's it. By the looks of this, no smell, I don't see any swelling. And the other good news is that these batteries are fairly new. So just make sure that these are nice and tight. You have no corrosion, it doesn't smell, and you don't see any swelling. If you don't have any of those and everything looks good on this end, then the next step you would do is go to the alternator. We're now on the right side of the truck, right? This is where the alternator is located on this Freightliner Cascadia. Don't mind the color. Someone really loved the old Detroit 60 series color. All right, so back on topic. First thing we want to check, let's make sure that the belt is there. If the belt's not there, something may have broke it, so maybe a seized up pulley or maybe just a bad belt that nobody paid attention to, finally cracked and broke. But if it did, spin all the pulleys, just make sure that everything looks good, maybe pull on a little and make sure there's no wobble. So if the belt's there and it's still good, what we want to do next is make sure that the cables, there's no corrosion and they are not loose, all right? So what you would do is just grab a hold of the cable and you're gonna pull, right? Back and forth, move up and down as well, all right? So when you do that, one or two things. One, it's loose, or maybe it might be tight and maybe the post might be broken off the alternator. Now, if the post is broken, you need an alternator. But if everything looks good, now, if you guys haven't, you know how to use a multimeter. What you would do is you would take the red lead on the positive and then the black lead on the negative. And then have the truck running, and then you're gonna look at your meter, right? You're gonna hold it here. You really want to be about, now in these days, anywhere above 12 volts, you know, 13, 14, very close to 14 more than anything, and then turn everything on. Your lights, you know, your blower motor at high speed for the AC, high beams, everything. And if the voltage just drops down and comes back up, you know the alternator's good. But now if it drops and keeps going and you don't see it bouncing back and it keeps dropping, the alternator is cause of the problem. Now, the other thing is sometimes the alternator will overcharge. That could happen too. If it overcharges 14, replace the alternator. Now, let's just say you guys, hey, the alternator is fine, the batteries look decent, but I'm still jump starting and the voltage is down. So now we're talking about going to a shop to do a deep cycle test on the batteries to make sure that it's working, as well as we want to make sure that the amperage being pushed out of the alternator is working as well. Now, putting the voltmeter, it can still read 14 volts, but if it has 14 volts but no amperage, the alternator is not working. So you would need to go to the shop for that. If you have a remote sensor, right, and some of the trucks may have a fuse, which might be located right here, if the fuse is blown, replace it, and then everything starts charging back up, then you resolve the problem with a fuse. All right, guys, so a quick recap about low voltage on the dash reading around 12 volts or under. I know some of you guys are like, oh, you missed a whole bunch of steps. just remember, this is just basic visual inspection and a little bit of, with the multimeter as an owner operator, to try to figure it out yourself. Anything beyond that, you would need to go to the shop. Just keep that in mind, all right? But we're also trying to save money. If you can fix it yourself and figure it out yourself, that would be awesome, because that's all we're about to do, save money. So if you guys like what you saw today, please pound that like button. If you guys have any questions about what you saw today, or you want me to be more in depth, guys, leave me a comment at the bottom. And if you guys want some more fun stuff like this coming your way, don't forget to subscribe. See you guys around at the next video.